march in the Capitol.
Abortion is a human right, and ultimately every person should be able to decide for themselves.
For women all around, coverage from our DC bureau. Global leaders come together.
I think that this society really exemplifies values.
To discuss political issues with a special guest making an appearance. And a new epidemic declared by the U.S. Department of Health.
COVID happened in 2020, so I experienced having to be at home
that is affecting Gen Z. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Valentina Gaspari.
I'm Jason Harrod. Today is Wednesday, March 27, 2024.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
Search suspended at the site of a tragic bridge collapse. Officials are now calling the massive effort at the site of the Baltimore bridge collapse, quote, a recovery mission.
The bridge was hit by a cargo ship yesterday, and the ship lost engine and electrical power minutes before impact. The remaining 6 missing people are presumed dead. The victims were part of a road crew working on the bridge. They were from Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Mexico.
Accidents happen, and this was a very unfortunate accident and very unfortunate tragedy. What one should highlight here is that we're part of the community. We build the community as well.
More than 1,000 members from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will assist in debris removal to get the shipping channel open again.
Supreme debate both inside the Supreme Court building and outside it, involving those on either side of the abortion issue. As DC Bureau reporter Sophia Boulevard tells us, yesterday was the start of an oral argument in a case that could deem the so-called abortion pill unsafe and ban it across the country.
Many people from several different organizations are right behind me in front of the Supreme Court protesting against the ban of mifepristone, or the abortion pill. Protesters were up bright and early Tuesday morning, blocking off the street in front of the Supreme Court and having several speakers and protesters share their thoughts and concern on the potential ban of one of the most common regimen of abortion offered in the U.S.
Abortion is a human right, and ultimately every person should be able to decide for themselves whether or not to continue a pregnancy. It shouldn't be the job of the government to force people to be pregnant.
Pro-lifers made their way into the crowd to show their support for the ban despite being heavily outnumbered by those against the ban of the pill. One pro-lifer who identified as a Democrat was hopeful that this case could progress into the end of all abortion.
I was actually very grateful to be outside the Supreme Court 2 years ago when Dobbs came down. It was a joyous moment. I think that's a great forecast for how this ruling will come, and I believe in the Supreme Court.
Those who are for the ban are claiming the pill is unsafe for women, but the Gunmaker Institute research states otherwise.
So if they were to limit access today, that would mean that people who live in the 14 states that are banning abortion or the other states who are restricting abortion would lose access, and that really disproportionately impacts folks who face systemic racism and economic inequality.
A number of disputes broke out throughout the protests, and early on into the mobilization, the Women's March Executive Director Rachel Carmona and Creative Director Kim Parker Russell were arrested for unlawful protesting, but the details are still vague.
There's a lot of resiliency and people coming together to show that we will continue to fight for abortion. So we'll be out here as long as we need to be, and we will come back when we need to come back.
The Women's March has been prominently leading this protest, but there have been some pro-lifers in the crowd and pro-life organizations. Reporting for Caplin News from Washington, D.C., I'm Sophia Bolivar.
And staying with the DC Bureau, reporter Pamela Carrera was at an environmental film festival that features investigative stories focusing on the oceans and climate change, and among other topics, including the impact on Florida. Here's her story.
The film that USA Today reporter Trevor Hughes focused on was the challenges faced by the local fishing industry in 4 different points of the United States, including Florida. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the U.S. wild-caught pink shrimp found in Key West is a smart seafood choice because it is sustainably managed and responsibly harvested under the U.S. regulations.
The problem is that there's so many imported shrimp coming from other countries that have really terrible environmental laws. They're farmed shrimp, they're loaded with antibiotics, and so those shrimp are actually cheaper to grow in other countries, freeze, and then ship to America. So that's what you eat in the restaurants most often is shrimp from another country.
Hughes also mentioned the negative impact this has on the economy.
If we don't eat the products we're growing here, we're putting our own neighbors out of business. We're taking money out of our own grocery stores, out of our own communities, and we're sending it to much larger corporations, usually in other countries.
Paola Martinez Gutierrez of Mexico investigated the illegal capture and overexploitation of octopuses in that country, which she said are exported to restaurants in Miami, and consumers may not know this when they go out to eat.
It's just knowing where your food is coming from, it's a big step.
Reporting for Caplin News, Pamela Correa.
Oscar-winning actor Cuba Gooding Jr.'s name has come up in a sexual assault lawsuit. This involves the case which led to the search of mansions in Miami and Los Angeles belonging to music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. It has been said the assault happened in January of 2023 on a yacht rented by Combs. Gooding was his guest. Gooding's name has always been in the documents, but this week his status was changed to co-defendant. Gooding has not yet commented on any of the accusations.
Same assembly, same organization, but a different viewpoint. Lives Amplified hosted their monthly event last night at North Miami Beach and touched upon a wide range of topics with their special guest. Here's more on the story.
Lives Amplified Global Leaders Society reunited once again, but this time was way different than the last. Senior government dignitaries, officials, businesses, and various representatives were just some in attendance at the Leak Miami Restaurant and Lounge. Networking, live entertainment, and complimentary tasting of caviar and hors d'oeuvres were just some highlights from the event, building connections with new members.
They're the kind of people that I like to network with, I like to be associated with, that I feel that I can help. And in me helping them, I know that they'll be able to help me.
I think that this society really exemplifies values and, essentially core values that we share around the world.
This Lives Amplified event had members intrigued, and the special guest of the night had a lot to say with his background as a political leader in Haiti, one of them being the conflicts the country is currently facing.
The gangs are bad, but they are our gangs because we create them. There is a lady in Haiti, her name is corruption.
I don't know. I don't want to say now Haiti is open for business, but since we are trying to solve the problem that we have now, I think by the end of that year, because now we're working to put all the political parties together to have a new government.
Everyone had the chance to meet Joseph Jouth, former Prime Minister of Haiti and the star of the event. He is also Society's honorary board member. During the fireside chat with Dr. Stephen Melnick, the diverse audience heard insights and narratives about the Prime Minister's short-lived experience in office, including a Q&A session at the end. Here's what one guest took away from Joseph Jouth's discussion.
I think, it was interesting to hear from his perspective how challenging dealing with the corruption is, and it's difficult for one person to combat that.
If you're interested in becoming a member and want to learn more about the society, visit livesamplified.org. Their next event will take place on April 24th.
Far too many young adults are facing an epidemic of isolation and loneliness this morning. As Kaplan Julian Davis reports, it's an event being called a public health crisis.
An invisible epidemic is targeting Gen Zers in the United States, and it is not COVID, it's loneliness. And we're here at Florida International University, where college students are part of the population most at risk.
In 2023, U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy released a Surgeon General advisory bringing attention to loneliness, isolation, and lack of connection as a public health crisis. Gen Zers are at an increased risk, with more than 1 in 3 young adults in the U.S. living with a mental health illness, which begs the need to understand why this specific portion of the population is mostly affected.
Yes, I have experienced that, during the pandemic, because when I transferred to FIU as a junior, COVID happened in 2020, so I experienced having to be at home, and a lot of my friends also experienced that too. So but I felt like we were able to help each other out with that, and with social media, we kept contact, and we would use Teleparty, all those Google Chrome extensions to watch shows and movies together. So we kept each other company. So I felt like we did a pretty good job with that, during that time.
With the rise of online classes and fully remote degree options, Gen Z is less incentivized to go to campus. a decision that can cost them their last opportunity to make meaningful friendships.
I think college, especially if you live on campus, can be a great opportunity to make good connections because it's one of the last times you'll probably live in a walking community if you think about it, right? If you live on a college campus. You have your dorm there, you've got your food, maybe some rec hall or something like that. And even if you're a commuter student, it's one of the last times you'll be sort of forced in a group of classes with people where you can, it's socially okay to get to know the other person. And the question is, can people take advantage of that? And that goes back to the point earlier, which is it really depends on what that person's socialization skills are. Is just getting someone's Instagram going to be good enough to cultivate good relationship with?
In order to combat this epidemic, the advisory lays out a 6-part plan which includes strengthening social infrastructure, enacting pro-connection public policies, mobilizing the health sector, reforming digital environments, deepening our knowledge, and cultivating a culture of connection. Reporting from North Miami for Kaplan News, I'm Julian Davis.
The Federal Trade Commission is taking a closer look at TikTok and is probing the social media platform. They are looking into an alleged violation of the Children's Online Privacy Prosecution Rule. This comes after a growing concern in Congress to either force TikTok's parent company ByteDance to sell the U.S. shares to another U.S. company or shut down the app entirely in the U.S.
The Heat find themselves without their star player Jimmy Butler going up against Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
27 seconds in, the Cats are on top.
The Florida Panthers fight for their spot at the top of the Atlantic Division in the NHL as it gets closer to playoff season. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
See us dream. See us remember. See us protest.
You matter. Your feelings matter. Your identity matters. Everything about who you are matters.
See us fight back. See us rebuild. See us shatter stereotypes. See us inspire. See us united. See us now.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
The Panthers getting into a battle with Boston, and sole possession of first place was on the line. Last night, the Florida Panthers battled on the ice against the Bruins for the top spot in the Atlantic Division.
Evan Rodriguez broke open the scoring with a tap-in goal in the first, and things continued to heat up from there. Both teams traded goals throughout the game, but it was Pavel Zacha's goal with 2 minutes left that was the dagger. As the Bruins escaped Sunrise with a 4-3 win, the Panthers have now lost 5 of their last 6 games.
And on the hardwood, the Miami Heat faced off against the red-hot Golden State Warriors. An injured Jimmy Butler watched his Heat keep things tightly contested in the first half. However, Golden State ran away with it in the second, outscoring Miami 60-37 en route to a 113-92 win for the Warriors. Miami now moves to 39-33 on the year with 10 more games to play. The Heat looks to rebound against the Trailblazers on Friday.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Jason Aaron.
And I'm Valentina Gaspari. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.